All right, WDGR Society, listen up. Our last community game night was another huge success, with Drew and company firing up Halo, the Master Chief Collection. Next week, game night continues with a game I'm very much looking forward to. Have you ever been curious to control a mecha-style exoskeleton that stands roughly 7 to 10 meters tall? If so, join us on Saturday, December 21st for Titanfall 2. Even better, you can download it for free this month with PS Plus. We'll be playing game types such as Amped Hardpoint, Pilot vs. Pilot, Attrition, and Titan Brawl. Your dreams of wall running and cloaking in a science fiction universe can and will come true between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, December 21st. We look forward to seeing your Titan dreams become a reality. For more details, be sure to find us on Discord as well as our website, WDGRPodcast.com. I'll see you guys there.
Hey everybody, welcome to Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective. You're listening to episode 55 for the week of December 15th, 2019. I'm your host, Drew, and I am joined by gigantic stone boulder Will.
What's up, Drew?
Dude, my cat is scaring the shit out of me right now.
Clearly. Apparently he's pushing that boulder.
He's got this toy, and it's just very loud and obnoxious, and I don't know, man. I don't know. That's all I got. How are you?
I'm well, man. The Game Awards just happened last night. Normally, I don't really tune in with that so much as I did last night. Like, I was fully vested in. But yeah, besides that, I'm well. I'm kind of excited to play games again because of it. So
yeah, you sit down and you watch something like that, and it just kind of gets you right back in, like, all those feels, kind of sparks the interest and makes you, like, kind of rekindle your love for this hobby.
Precisely. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a long week. I'm tired. My hours have been kind of crazy, so kind of dealing with inconsistent sleep, but I got to see an old friend today. Haven't seen him in a couple months, so that was nice. Had some lunch.
Oh, good.
And yeah, man, I got a lot of games I want to talk about today, and I can't wait to hear you talk about the Game Awards. I'm really kind of curious how that panned out, because I was at work when that was airing, so that is something I really haven't had an opportunity to dive into yet.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be home, so
cool.
It felt good to kind of, live tweet and, just enjoy the entire show and not be bothered.
That's awesome. I can't wait to hear about it. Well, let's get our business out of the way first. We're on the web at www.wdgrpodcast.com. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WDGRPodcast. Will, if somebody would like to find you, how can they do so?
Will_gear.
You can find me at ScionStorm and swing on by our Discord room, say hello, chat with other fans of the show, chat with us, join us for a game night. We got a new game night coming up in a couple weeks.
We do. I'm really pumped for that.
What is it? It's the 21st or the 22nd?
21st, Saturday.
Yeah, we're going to be playing Titanfall 2. Well, you're going to be playing Titanfall 2. I don't have PlayStation Plus.
Not yet.
Not yet.
You don't.
I'm working on that. Hopefully by the end of the month, there'll be a decent sale. I'll have some extra cash. I'll grab it. So, looking forward to seeing everybody there, though. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be joining in. You think you're going to stream this one?
I think so. I think I'm going to try.
Cool. So, if we do that, I'll jump in and say hello to everybody. Harass you as you miss all those shots. Talking trash.
That's likely.
Well, what do you say we hit up that mailbag, huh?
Let's roll into it.
All right. So last week we'd had a few questions for the mailbag, but there was an outage on Discord. We were unable to take advantage of those. So we're going to use some of those questions this week, as well as some of the new questions that we've received. A lot going on in this mailbag. Let's start with Raffy Fatfingers, who says...
It never gets old. I'm sorry.
It really doesn't, man. With games like Fortnite, Call of Duty, and PUBG coming to mobile, what other big franchises do you see making the move? I can see World of Warcraft doing it. We now have the ability to sync controllers to the phone, and Final Fantasy XIV proved an MMO works perfectly fine without a mouse and keyboard.
This is an avenue that I don't like to think about too much, because everybody that listens to the show kind of knows my feelings about mobile games. I don't really consider it gaming. I know that's kind of enough to get me crucified, but it's something that's still hard for me to wrap my head around. However, it is a movement. It is something that's happening. I agree. Gross, when it comes to Fortnite, I think that everybody's kind of in that boat nowadays. But yeah, to answer this question, I could see maybe like a Skyrim type game coming to mobile, which sounds kind of crazy because a game so large, it would be hard to, transition into a mobile format. However, anything's possible now. If they can bring Call of Duty to mobile like they have, and apparently it's really good and it's free. Yeah, apparently it's free and apparently it's really, really good. If they can do that, and I know it's just a shooter, but it's still kind of complex. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And if they can get that to control on a touchscreen, then I could see almost anything coming to mobile at this point.
I would like to see more real-time strategy games make the jump to mobile. I think that the touchscreen is the closest thing to a mouse and keyboard that we're going to get without actually having a mouse and keyboard. And I feel like something like a traditional Command and Conquer game is certainly optimized for a touchscreen environment. Now, the problem with a lot of the phones that we have is the screens are just a little small.
Yep.
But if you're looking at something that's like a tablet size, or maybe like the Note, the Galaxy Note, which has a larger screen, I think with the right game and the right interface, I think a Command and Conquer or a StarCraft game could actually work out really well on mobile. But it would be tricky because like the amount of information that's displayed on the screen at one time is it can be overwhelming, and they would need to find a way to, kind of trim that down and find a good balance, I think.
I think that's definitely the key. With a lot of these games, a lot of what they've brought to mobile, they're already kind of complex games. So the fact that they've been able to do that and do it as well as they have is impressive. However, it's kind of like a weird gray area where there's a line that you have to be careful not to cross, because if the game is too structured and too complex, then I don't know if it would play well on such a small screen, as you said. Yeah. So even though I agree with you, Raph, in terms of Warcraft, possibly coming to a mobile format, I just don't know how well it would translate over.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's why most people, when they think of a mobile game, they're thinking of Flappy Bird and Angry Birds and things of that nature, because they do translate well in that kind of format because they're simplistic. So that's why I'm not too big on mobile gaming, because I see it as still that. And I know that's crazy because Flappy Bird is such an old game now. But that's how I view mobile games, and that's how I feel like they should be, is simplistic. However, if it can be executed right, then I'm all for trying anything.
There is definitely a balance that can be had for simplicity in complex games. For me, mobile gaming isn't necessarily about being simple or complex. It's about being bite-sized. So, like, I want to be able to, when I'm standing in line at the grocery store, fire up a game, have it launch basically immediately, and play a round of it, whatever, by the time I get to the front of the line. And then I could put the phone in my pocket, go about my day, and pick up where I left off later. And, with a game like Call of Duty, obviously there's a little bit more investment in that. You can kind of plan accordingly, but like, just think about the types of games that you could play in short bursts. And to me, that's, I think, the ideal mobile format.
Yeah, I mean, I think out of the games that you had listed there, I would choose Call of Duty because I feel like I've seen gameplay of the mobile game and it looks really good and it looks like a nice pick up and play kind of game. And that's what I personally look forward to in a mobile game if I'm going to play it. I've seen a couple like heavy set RPG games on mobile, and I just feel like it's a lot going on one screen. It's a battery drainer, I'm sure. And, if I want to play a game like that, I want to pick up a controller.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah, I tend to be with you there. Raph has another question here. What games from this year do you think have particularly good soundtracks? I played Sayonara Wild Hearts a month ago, Switch and Apple Arcade, and I'm thrilled whenever one of those songs pops up on my Spotify.
This one I thought about in the car. It seems so I don't know, biased, I guess, but I would say Sekiro, just because the soundtrack is really good in that game.
Mhm.
It's kind of orchestral and it's very Japanese sounding. But for me, that's definitely one that I can think of. I can't really think of anything else that stands out
Yeah.
for a soundtrack at the moment, at least.
I've really enjoyed the soundtrack for Control, although I think there's not a lot of songs in that game, but I do think that the game does a great job of capturing the mood and the vibe. I really enjoyed Anthem soundtrack as well, too. I thought that was really well done, especially for a AAA title. I thought they picked an excellent composer and did a fantastic job of making you feel like a badass motherfucker with as many like French horns as possible.
Wow.
It's worth giving a listen, I think. But it has more impact when it's in context with the game.
That's impressive because there really isn't much badass about a French horn.
It's I might be misnaming one of my brass instruments. I've never been good about identifying brass instruments, but there's a lot of very deep horns in there.
Okay.
So it's worth checking out. Off the top of my head, I think those would be my picks. I haven't really played a ton of games from 2019, honestly.
Yeah, same.
I've been playing a lot of stuff from 2018 or earlier, so it's tough for me to answer that question wholeheartedly.
I agree. I mean, I was sitting here thinking, what else have I played that's a newer game? And I'm like, fuck, I don't really know.
Yeah, it's true. Let's see here. Nerdy Super Brie wants to know, once again, chunky or smooth peanut butter?
I don't remember what I said last time, but I'm going to go with smooth.
Yeah, I'm a smooth guy 90% of the time. I like it smooth.
Chunky's good, but I think it's more of a time and place.
Yeah.
Whereas smooth is an all-time, like no one's going to turn down a little personal packet of smooth peanut butter and a bag of apples that are already pre-cut.
Correct. Well, I would cut my own apple, though, because I'm not going to pay for somebody else to cut my apple and put it in a plastic bag that's just going to harm the environment.
That's true.
That's how I roll.
You care about the sea turtles.
I do. Fucking sea turtles,
I do too, man.
I don't know. You and your pre-cut shit.
Listen, I got a 4Ocean bracelet that's broken and I can't wear it and I'm still pissed about it.
You poor thing.
I know.
Joe Donuts asks, it says, my friend was a pretty heavy gamer in the 360 era. I'd literally send him 5 games in the mail while he was teaching in Japan and get them back a few weeks later after he finished them all. However, he only just got a PS4 this week and asked for current gen recommendations. If you had a strange friend like this and they just got an Xbox One or PS4 right at the end of the generation, what games would you recommend they play?
Also since draft. Okay.
That's the second part. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I almost led into that. This one, I would say, is kind of a unique 2-part answer in some ways. I think a couple games from launch and a couple games towards the end. And if I were to choose what games they would be, I would say Assassin's Creed Black Flag for PS4, because that was a launch title and it's a really good looking game. And it's a great game. Metal Gear Solid 5. That's, I think, a little bit more towards the end. Red Dead Redemption 2, because it's newer and it's phenomenal. And if I had to pick one more from like the kind of beginning era of PS4, and I'm just, again, choosing Sony here. I would say like Resogun. Resogun is a launch PS Plus game, I believe. And it was really good. It was really, really good. It's basically just like an arcade game. It's kind of like a Geometry Wars kind of situation. But for me, that game and Assassin's Creed Black Flag and some of those launch titles really sold me on the system.
Okay.
So they really stand out to me. And then in terms of later titles, MGS 5 and RDR2 are great, I would say, towards the end of the generation titles that really show off the growth from the beginning software titles up until now. So,
okay.
I would say those 4 games.
I think for me, I'm going to take a different approach because I would kind of look at it depending on the platform. And with the PlayStation 4, I'm looking at games like, and some of these games I have not had an opportunity to play, but I recognize their place in the platform. You have like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man. I think those are absolute must plays. The Last of Us, you could do the remastered version. That's a great game. And so far, for the record, these are all games that are $20 or less regularly on sale. Those are, I think, some of the better games in this generation overall. You have the Uncharted collection, which is another great one too. And 1 through 3, of course, were on the PlayStation 3, but I think they're still great games. And some of my favorite Uncharted 1 and 2 are like really incredible games. I haven't had a chance to play 3 yet. But what else is there? Let's see. On the Xbox side, I mean, I would put Doom if you have an Xbox One X, because I think Doom is going to take good advantage of the 4K content.
Yes.
I would certainly recommend that somebody who is new to the Xbox just buy themselves a Games Pass if they're okay with not necessarily owning a game, because it immediately opens up access to well over 100 games. Actually, if I'm looking right now, and they have over 200 games listed on the Games Pass for the Xbox site. Now, a lot of those are 360 games as well, too. But there's some really great content. Unfortunately, the Xbox hasn't done great with exclusives. So that's kind of a tough answer. But like the Tomb Raider reboot, I think, is something that people should play if they're new to this generation. I think that's a great game.
100%.
If you want something unique, I think Superhot is worth a look, whether it's on VR or, regular TV. It's a clever game. It's a unique game worth checking out. I would say Destiny 2 or The Division 2, if you want to pick a looter shooter. I think those are great examples of those franchises, or excuse me, that style of game rather. Man, there's a lot of really good titles, and kind of wish I dove into this a little bit more and looked at my collection. But I think that's.
I wish I did too.
I think that's kind of where I would start. As far as the Switch goes, like I'm still kind of discovering the Switch myself, but I think I would be remiss not to mention Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, even Mario Kart 8, which is a rehash of the one from the Wii U, but it's still well done. It's still fun. It's still something people can jump into and play right away. Yeah,
it's such a loaded question because there's so many answers, and it's one of those questions where you think of more titles after.
Oh, of course.
So many more. And I could think of Uncharted 4, for example, was essentially, well, definitely towards the early generation of the system. And
yes.
I mean, that game just is remarkable in terms of visuals and just everything.
The Uncharted games are great at telling a story and making you feel like you're in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm. And I think the other problem is most of the games that I own, pretty much for almost any system, a lot of them are not exclusives, and a lot of them are not, just kind of exclusive to that brand.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a lot of games, like I might have like Deus Ex, Mankind Divided or something for PS4, but that game is on multi-platforms. There's like, just other remasters and stuff that I have on a system, but it's not exclusive to it. So it's kind of hard to think of, exclusives that you would recommend based on the console, because it's just not really something I strive to purchase.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm looking at the Games Pass list right now, and Deus Ex Mankind Divided is on it. And I'm fairly sure that they gave that game away as a free game at one point on Xbox Live too. Yeah, so like I that's something I could definitely play on any platform. Oh, Celeste. I don't know how to forget about Celeste. I think that's a really important game for the 2D kind of look and feel. I think that's worth checking out too. I mean, there's a lot. There really is a lot, and if you ask me tomorrow, my lineup might change, but I think that's kind of like where I would start.
Yeah.
So, let's see here. Moving along. Oh, Ori and the Blind Forest is another choice too for the Xbox side. Although that's available on Switch now too. But we, every time we do this, we do ask people what they're playing, and Vic says, I started playing Ori and the Blind Forest. Such a good game. I can't wait for Xbox to release the mobile play so I can play games like this. He also wants to add the Elite controller, makes side-scrollers like this a breeze to play. He has all of his buttons mapped to paddles. I asked him a little bit about that further. Vic says, all my face buttons are on paddles for this game. Top right paddle is A, bottom right is X, bottom left is B, top left is Y. The mechanic where you select an enemy to get an extra air jump in a direction is genius. I love that you can use it on projectiles as well. I feel that Celeste has this as well, but this one adds a nice puzzle element with it too.
Yeah, I feel like Vic falls into that category of gamer like Damien. Like these guys are very prone to kind of, modifications, advanced controllers, advanced setups, and they're very like natural and just kind of they're more inclined to kind of test that kind of stuff out. If you gave me like one of those crazy Elite controllers or something that Damien has, it would take me some time to really get used to. And I'm sure it did for them, but I just feel like it's a little bit more normal for somebody like Vic to be able to play a game with all of those like mapped out triggers and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like I have an Elite controller, and I don't really use it. The problem that I ran into with the Elite controller is I would set the controller down on the sofa, and the trigger or one of those bumpers would inevitably get pressed, and it would start doing things to the game when I didn't want it to. Mm-hmm. And I remember it happened to me in Destiny. I set the thing down, and when you're in Destiny, it automatically goes to like your inventory screen, and it came very close to deleting something on me by accident. And it wasn't anything major, but like when I saw that happen, I was able to catch it before it did. But I'm like, okay, like I can't do this. So I actually removed the bumpers from the controller completely. And then basically at that point, I just have a regular controller. It's got a little bit of heft to it, but that's it. And then I started getting stick drift on it. And I'm like, fuck this. Like, there's a $125 controller that's getting stick drift, and I don't use the paddles. So they replaced it. It was still under warranty. They replaced the controller, but like I'm basically using the regular controller at this point.
Yeah, I think if you're doing a lot of FPS shooters, and that's kind of an oxymoron, but yeah, if you're playing a lot of, I just realized, I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, if you're playing a lot of shooters and you're playing a lot of, certain kinds of games that have a lot of button presses and a lot of like button mapping and, just things of that nature, then a controller like that is ideal. But, I think for your average gamer, it's not something that's always necessary.
Yeah.
But for people like Vic and Damien, they like that customization to be there. And I think the kind of games that they play, those controllers are just a better fit.
Yeah. Vic also kind of dives into Ori and the Blind Forest a little bit more. He says, the levels are challenging, but not Celeste's level of challenging. The soundtrack is phenomenal, which I concur with. The soundtrack is absolutely amazing in that game. He says, I love all the sounds in this game. I like the ability to save anywhere. My only complaint so far is the life energy bars are tough to keep an eye on. Also, it seems like you can unlock abilities in the menu, but you can't use them until much later. For example, I unlocked the air dash, but I'm unable to use it yet. No idea why and no explanation of it. Check the controls and it's the right bumper, but every time I press it, nothing happens. Yeah, same thing happened to me as well, Vic. I built up the XP needed to unlock something in that game, and I did not have the ability to use it yet. These are the types of things that I believe will be kind of revealed as you go through the game and, kind of get to that storyline point where it starts making sense. So stick with it. Maybe by the time you hear this, you've already unlocked it. I don't know. But yes, that is a thing that happens in this game. I think it's an oversight and kind of a poor game design decision, but the way the upgrade tree is designed, like you can invest points into like 3 different categories, and it's just whether it requires 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points, and it's all dependent on the previous thing. So it's not like it's a wasted power up. Like you're going to use it eventually. Just unfortunately, you have to be a little patient with it.
I can relate to situations like that. I can't stand it when you're playing a game and you feel like you've unlocked a special move set or just any kind of special ability, and you go to do it and nothing happens, and you look it up online or you go on your phone or whatever, and you just can't seem to figure it out. And then later on, you just find out that maybe you're doing it wrong, or it's like a weird passive effect or something. Like I know, I want to say Sekiro has a couple of those kind of things. There's a lot of like passive effects or passive abilities where it's not something that you actually do. It's more of something that just becomes active within your abilities. So
Gotcha.
Sometimes things like that can be frustrating.
So this one comes here from 2BX Maniac. He says, what video game reminds you of Christmas or a great Christmas you had? For me, it was always be the Christmas I got Test Drive 4. We went over Bill's house and played that and other PlayStation games all day. Later on, our friends EJ, John, and Johnny came over and joined us. It was a blast.
I got to say, Zelda Ocarina of Time, stands out to me as one of my all-time favorite Christmas games, just because I remember getting that for Christmas, opening it early. I think I talked about that on the very first episode of the show. And, I think N64 and Super Nintendo stand out to me a lot for just kind of Christmas memories and Christmas games, because I had those systems and I have really fond memories of getting gifted games for Christmas for those two particular systems.
Yeah. For me, I'm looking at Metal Gear Solid. And I think this is something I talked about on one of our previous episodes as well, too. I remember being very excited to get that game, and I had the DualShock controller. I don't remember if that was a gift as well or if I bought it separately, but I had the DualShock controller. I remember just being so excited to play that game, and I spent the entire day playing it. I went downstairs for dinner and went right back upstairs again to play. And just the first night, I'm pretty sure I made it all the way to Psycho Mantis, man, and just that battle was just mind-blowing.
Triumphant. What a triumphant game, man. I miss like some of those Christmas memories. I know we've talked about it before in other episodes, but nothing beat that experience of, opening up a brand new console or, going to your friend's house, like maybe the day after or the day before, the week later, and you're playing something that you're excited about, or something that they got for Christmas, and you're sharing your stories about what everybody got. Turok Rage Wars was a big one for me too. I remember playing 4-player co-op. Pretty sure like a couple weeks after Christmas one year. That was probably like, I don't know, 96, 97.
Okay.
Crazy to think about, but
it really is. Like, just a very weird thought, man. That was so long ago.
It is a weird thought.
But we are old.
We are old, and, I think we're starting to have to accept that now.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's like when you look at games like that, like, let's say you're at a Retro Games Plus and you pick up a N64 game, you're like, oh, I remember this. It's not that old of a game. And then the clerk's like, dude, that came out in, like, 96. And you're like, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Like, I was, like, and then you do the math, and then you just realize how old you are, and you kind of just sheepishly put it back, and you walk out, and you say, have a great day, and you're like, holy fuck, dude, like...
Never to be seen again.
Never to be seen again. I can't ever come here again. You just never go back.
Oh, man. Vortex chimed in on that topic, too. He says for him, it'll always be Super Mario Brothers 3. Got that in Canada right around Christmas after begging my dad for an NES for so long. We played that nonstop. Man, those are the memories, man. Pucksaur says, games I've been playing: Luigi's Mansion 3, Pokemon Shield, AI Dungeon 2, and Dead Cells. If you have a kid that's too young to play games, Luigi's Mansion is awesome. It's silly and cartoony enough for them to watch it like a movie/show, but it's still fun and deep enough to enjoy. Maybe not one of Will Gear's cool games, but definitely fun. He says, question, I'm shamelessly stealing this from Kotaku as I like the framing of this question. With a decade wrapping up, rather than asking you what is your game or games of the decade, what game or games do you think defined the decade and had the most influence on those that followed? For example, I'm a big fan of walking simulators. My favorite in the genre right now is Firewatch, but I might say Dear Esther for being kind of the first experience in the genre and seemingly kicking off a trend of indie, non-violent first-person narrative games.
I loved Dear Esther. Dear Esther is a game that I played back in, I think 2015 on PC. It was a Steam sale game, and my God, is it good. It's short, but it's absolutely a walking simulator. It's very similar to games like The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, which I also highly recommend. And you do a lot of walking, but it's a walking exploration sort of adventure game. There's a lot of mystery behind what you do as well. I guess you can kind of relate it to Gone Home. You know, that's also a walking simulator. But I would say that Dear Esther and The Vanishing of Ethan Carter are just on a larger scale.
Okay.
They're just bigger. But yeah, right. Dear Esther is actually really creepy too. I'm sure Pucks will be able to relate to what I'm saying when he listens to this. But yeah, there's some pretty creepy moments in that game.
I haven't had the opportunity to check that out, so might have to look.
It's really, really atmospheric, very dark. Kind of reminds you of maybe being stuck on some island in the middle of Scotland on like one of the cloudiest days ever. That's kind of, you know, what defines Dear Esther.
Okay. Like this is something that I'd like to give a little bit more thought. You know, I you know, we kind of touched base on like Uncharted earlier, and I think that that's a strong candidate for one of the better games of the decade, just based on the influence that it's had on you know, everything else that came after it. Although I feel like Uncharted 1 was like 2007.
It was pretty old. I mean, I will say here. I haven't played the remaster because I know they did remaster 1 and 2, and I think 3 as well.
See, this is the problem I have now, because like the leap from the PlayStation 3 to the PlayStation 4 hasn't been so massive that there are some of the better games don't feel like they could be either or. Yeah, Uncharted 1 was 2007, so I'm going to shut up now. I think Destiny 2 is a good candidate for a defining game of the decade, because it is a type of game that took the looter shooter and polished it so well and really defined, I think, what the genre can and should be. And I think now it's difficult to make that type of game without it being compared to, you know, Destiny. Like, you know, I think Anthem is a perfect example. You know, Anthem is a game that had all this promise, and they failed to learn from all the mistakes and successes that Destiny had. You know, and I wasn't the only person that, you know, said that. You know, Joe was talking about that a lot in the chat, but there were a lot of major publications that were also saying the same thing. They were using Destiny 2 as kind of the measuring stick for the success or failure of Anthem. So,
yeah,
I think, you know, that is probably one of my defining games of the decade, for better or for worse. I do like the game, you know, so yeah, I would say for the better, but I would add that to that list. And I'm just trying to think, man.
Dude, I think I'm having a moment right now. I'm having like this a moment of sheer joy and excitement to play a game this fucking weekend. Like, I was just sitting here listening to what you were saying, and I was thinking about how phenomenal Uncharted 2 is.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck, dude. Like, I've had some just amazing experiences in gaming. And I think that's why when you watch, you know, the Oscars or any kind of award show, they're so good at pulling on your heartstrings and pulling on those excitement, you know, sort of whatever, like the little excitement buttons in your soul to kind of, you know, reignite this passion for what it is that you do and why you play games. And I can't wait to just dive back into something this weekend. That's all I can say. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to hearing what you play.
I think I want to like really see if I can sit down with something, even if I've played it before, and get all the way through it. Like, just have a complete game experience.
From beginning to end?
From beginning to end. And I didn't have that with Uncharted 2. I'm pretty sure I played that for at least a couple weeks. But I remember the story in that game was just so fucking good.
Everything about that game was just so fucking good.
Honestly, like, I don't know why I didn't include that in maybe my top 10 or 15 games of all time, because Uncharted 2 is just legendary.
I think it's a type of game that we take for granted until we like seriously think about it, because I mean, like, I didn't consider it either, and it really is a legendary game. I remember their commercials for that game being like, this game looks and plays so good that your girlfriend's going to think it's a real movie. Do you remember that campaign?
I think I do.
They did commercials on it and everything, and Like, I laughed, and I thought that was bullshit. And then one day I'm at home, and I'm playing it on my PlayStation 3, and Nikki walks in, and she says to me, "What movie is this?"
Wow.
I'm not making this up. This actually happened.
I believe it. I mean, even if you go back and you play the PS3 version of that, it still looks remarkable.
This was the PS3 version.
But I'm just saying, like, you know...
Oh, yeah, today,
when you go back today, like, it's still going to look stunning. And I think 1 doesn't hold up as well. I remember going back when I think I started out playing 2, and then I moved into 3, and then I think I went back to 1 at some point. Like, I didn't play them in order, I want to say.
Okay.
I might have. I don't really remember, but I don't think I did. I think I started out with 2, and I went back and played 1, and I was just like, you know, it didn't look as good, but it still looked really good.
Okay.
I've yet to play the Uncharted or the Nathan Drake collection. I do own it.
Okay.
But I'm really looking forward to that at some point because I want to see how they clean them up.
That might be something worth shelving for a future, like combined gameplay.
I agree.
Because those games are meaty enough where we can like really dive into it, but they're also short enough where we should be able to complete them, you know, in a couple weeks each.
Mm-hmm. And also, just a note, without having to go too much into a deep dive here with the Uncharted games, I also appreciate the level of difficulty and challenge in those games because there are some moments that you're like, motherfucker, like you have like a Vic moment and you start like just cursing through your teeth and it's always with the shootout scenes. It's never anything else. It's not because you didn't grab onto the ledge properly. It's always involving a shootout.
Totally.
And you get fucking blasted, and the way that you die in that game is so punishing. Like, it's so slow and just like, and you're just like, like, you just get so mad because it's not just like a quick, like, respawn kind of death. It's like, dude, like, Nathan is collapsing to his knees, and, you know, Sully or whatever is yelling in the background, and you're just like, it's kind of like, you know, when Snake dies in Metal Gear, you know, Otacon's yelling, Snake! It's a big fucking deal. Like, it really hurts.
Yeah.
But yeah, excellent games.
Yeah, I have the itch to like circle back to those now.
I know, just like thinking about it, dude. Like, I mean, just the narrative, everything is so good.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now, like, one of my priorities for the next couple months is sitting down with The Last of Us, because I think I'd like to try to check out The Last of Us 2 as close to release as possible.
Dude, I have to play The Last of Us. I've talked about it so much. I've played it so many times and never beat it. And I'm sick of it.
I'm right there with you, man. I put in, you know, maybe at least half of the game. And
I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, Drew.
I'm sorry.
With that game.
I'm so sorry. I don't know.
I just want to experience the story. I want to experience the story. I want to do it. I want to understand why people still talk about this game as though it's one of the best games of all time. And I believe it, but I just need to experience it myself.
Well, let's make that happen. We'll talk about that offline.
Yes.
Because I have some ideas on how to keep accountability for gaming.
I am all for that because I need like discipline. I need like a drill sergeant that's like, play the fucking game.
Yeah, this is going down a dark path.
It is, but I'm okay with that. We need help.
we do need help. I need an adult.
Yeah.
Have you been playing anything at all this week?
No, man. No. I have been meaning to get back into something like I mentioned on the last show, but I think, you know, the Game Awards just happened and, you know, that was a big thing for me. And I'm glad that I took the time to watch it because, like I had mentioned before, it's something that's really helped me, you know, kind of keep that spark going and create more of a fire with, you know, what it is I need to get back to.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to wait until definitely tomorrow. Tonight, I've got some plans after the show. So tomorrow when I get home from work, I don't think I have anything. Oh, no, I do. God damn it.
No!
No, I'm going to the Boston Pops Orchestra at UConn. Free tickets.
Oh, that might be fun.
It's actually going to be a good evening.
Yeah.
You know, me and Lauren have a nice little Christmas orchestra thing. It'll be good. So
cool.
Maybe before we go and maybe after. If that doesn't happen, then Sunday, I really don't think I have any plans. And if I don't, then I am gaming all fucking day.
I 100% support your gaming all day initiative.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to like tweet about it and make it all like public. Be like, hey, look, Will's playing a game. Like I'm
gonna
like
have to did when I'm like, I beat a game.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna like go live on Instagram or maybe stream it. I need to do something just to kind of make sure that it still happens.
I love it. I love it. I grabbed Sayonara Wild Hearts on sale. There's a pretty nice sale on the eShop right now.
I did see that, and I was very tempted to scoop it up.
Yeah, I mean, so I think the price is good. If it's a game that you're interested in playing, I think it's a good price. I think after tax, it was like 11 and change. And we've had quite a bit of discussion about the game in our Discord room. There's a couple people, primarily Joe, but there are a couple other people in the room that have been really championing the game. And I was like, I made a promise. I'm like, when the game goes on sale, I'll pick it up. And fucking man, I'm a man of my word. The game went on sale, so I bought it. Right. I spent about an hour playing it last night. And it's good, but I'm not sure it's as great as everybody was saying. And
I'm not to interrupt, but I just want to mention that I feel like I'm sort of with you on that, even though obviously I don't own the game, I've never played it, and I want to enjoy it as much as Joe is thinking that I will, and I very well might. But there's something about what I've seen that I can't put my finger on.
Yeah.
That is like just not really translating too well. So I don't know what that is, but I'm still willing to go down this path and find out what it's all about. So
I definitely think it's a game that like Vortex would really enjoy.
Okay.
I'm hoping to have him try it out at some point in the near future, because it's a weird hodgepodge of a endless runner plus a rhythm game plus an on-rails shooter all at the same time, and it kind of jumps in and out of these three things. There's going to be situations where, like, maybe you're just collecting points. It's all high score based, so you're picking up these items that give you points, and there might be to the left or to the right, or you have to dodge like tree branches or buildings or whatever, depending on the environment that you're in. And then out of nowhere, it'll go into like a quick time event where you have to time a button press in time with the music. So there's a bit of that kind of rhythm game element to it. And then there's the one of the sections that I played last night before I called it a night was your character has essentially an automatically firing gun that you have no control over, and you have to shoot these enemies, which will drop those points tokens that you can pick up to increase your score.
Okay.
Everything is based on a bronze, silver, gold point structure, and if you are able to get gold on every single level, then I guess it opens up something additional. I don't know what that is yet. The game does not give you a tutorial that I'm aware of. It doesn't tell you what the point values are. It doesn't tell you what the pickups are. It throws you in. It gives you bare bones of a tutorial where basically there's like this butterfly or something on the screen that you kind of shows you, okay, follow me to the left, and then you follow me to the right, and it'll show you the loosest of instructions on how to play the game, which is basically moving your character along this endless running path. And if you've ever played a video game before, you pick it up right away. Like, I'm not a dummy. I know how to fucking play the game. But at the same time, I also think it would be useful for the developers to have put in some sort of an element where it explains to you the point values or the tokens that you're picking up, which ones you should be going for. Because the game happens so fast, I cannot take a moment to look at my high score to see which one of those tokens is worth more than the others.
It certainly seems that way.
I don't want to take my eyes off the screen, because the minute you do, you're slamming into a building or and the game is really quick about throwing you back. It rewinds it back to, maybe 5 seconds before you got killed, and then throws you right into it and you're at it again. So there's no like downtime between dying and starting over. It gets you right back into it. It doesn't even start you at the beginning of the level, which is great. There's like constant checkpoints. So I really appreciate that. But yeah, like a lot of people have been raving about the story, and we've been pretty open about my struggles with interpretation of stories over the years. There's like basically 3 sentences about a girl who falls out of love, has her heart broken. And then there's a sequence where she's like sitting in her bedroom, and all of a sudden she's sucked into this vortex where she becomes like this endless runner superhero. And like, I have no fucking clue what the story is after that point. and like everybody's just like, it's up for interpretation. Fuck you, it's up for interpretation. What does that even mean?
Yeah, I feel like that phrase is being tossed around a little loosely nowadays. I will say that.
Yeah.
You know, even games like Greece, which we've mentioned so many times before, there's such little information to go off of that sometimes it is hard to justify that phrase, which is like, oh, it's all up, into, it's based on your interpretation. And I get that. But in some ways, sometimes you need a little bit of structure or a little bit of something to work off of so you can interpret it, something.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're, if you don't have anything to go off of, sometimes it's harder to do that. So it does depend. But yeah, there are games that seemingly are moving in that direction in the indie market that are just becoming a little bit too, I don't know what the right word is.
I think they're too reliant on people assuming that there's a deeper meaning.
Right. And, take the stillness of the wind. I still don't really know what the true message was there. I mean, I have a couple ideas, but sometimes it's just a little bit too caught up in its own, like, mystery that it becomes just kind of like, all right, well, like, that wasn't that memorable. Like, I get it. I can interpret it a certain way, but I'd rather interpret something and have it be memorable. And Journey was, hands down for me, one of the best iterations of that kind of concept.
Yeah, I think there's a good way to do it and a bad way to do it. And like, I'm not done with this game. I've only put about an hour into it so far. There's still maybe 10 stages left. The stages are short, by the way, so you can kind of go through them real quick. And I thought there was a chance that I might finish the game last night, but I just kind of wanted to get to bed a little bit earlier because I had stuff to do today.
Mm-hmm.
So I shut it off a little bit early, but I mean, the stages are pretty short. Occasionally you'll run into a stage which is kind of like a boss battle of sorts, and as you're going through the game, you'll encounter, I guess they're gangs. I don't know. It kind of, everybody's like wearing, like, you'll have like a squad of like 4 people that you have to defeat. And they have some kind of name to them. I think one of them is like called the Lone Wolves or something like that. And it kind of foreshadows what that stage will be like. Some of the characters that you're dealing with are they transform into wolves, or I don't know. But it's there's a lot of good to the game overall, but I feel like so far for me it's falling short of being greatness. And if I had to make, like, without spending too much more time on this, because I would like to give it like a proper review. Right now my score is at about a 6.5 to 7, which is still good. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not the type of person that just throw 10s out there. Mm-hmm. If a game is worth a 10, I'll give it a 10. I don't see beyond a 7.5 in this game right now. And I certainly don't see this as being something that you would tattoo on your body.
Yeah, did see your comment about that. I probably wouldn't.
I mean, like, for me, like, a game that you tattoo on your body has to be more about a great story. I think it has to be gameplay that you also enjoy, too, and something that you can pick up constantly. I've never once heard you talk about playing either rhythm games or endless runners.
Nope. So, I mean, I was a huge, like, Guitar Hero and Rock Band fan, and I still love those games, but not enough to etch onto my skin.
And it's not even that type of rhythm game. This is more like a Wendon Elite Beat Agents kind of thing. And it's few and far between when those instances happen in this game. It just tells you to press a button and you have to time it up right, and that's it. And maybe you'll have a sequence of like maybe up to 10 beats that you're doing it on, but it's not the focus. There's just a lot of moving parts here, and so far I don't think it's executed any of them particularly well. But as a whole, I'm enjoying it. I know it sounds like I'm ripping it apart. I'm just being critical.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how you are, though, when it comes to these kind of games. Just because, I mean, that's how you are. I mean, yeah. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just how you're able to critique and shape an opinion about something that is not exactly, as perhaps straightforward. A lot of the games that you play, I wouldn't say are necessarily like super simplistic games. It's just there's a little bit more structure to a lot of the games that you play on a consistent basis, like Doom and Control and Prey and Horizon. Like, they have, I think, more familiar structure, whereas like with Sayonara and Greece and games like that, it's quite a new territory. However, you have played quite some interesting games that are pretty fucking far-fetched and far out there.
Well, like I talked about, A Normal Lost Phone last week.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is not a structured game, in the same sense as Control or Doom or anything like that, So I don't think it's that. I think it's not about whether it's a structured game that's familiar to me. It's about whether or not the game has a structure.
Maybe that's what it is.
And a game like Grease or a game like Sayonara Wild Hearts, like I think that they try to do a structure, but I think they're so scattered with what they're trying to accomplish that they don't really focus in on what's working.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So, but again, like with Grease, like don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Grease. I would give it a 7. And once upon a time, a 7 was not a negative review. And I hold to that value. A 10, like I don't give games 10s. Very rare. Very, very rarely.
Yeah, they should not be doled out as easily as they are. And I agree. I think even a 6 for a game is still a pretty decent score. I mean, a 6 can mean that the game's good.
Yeah, I mean, on a scale from 1 to 10, 5 is an average. And there's nothing wrong with buying a game that's 5. There's nothing wrong with buying a game that's a 3 if you enjoy it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But you have to recognize that when you're at a game that's a 3, now they're starting to get into like gameplay flaws, bugs, things like that, crashes, shit like that, But anyway, I think you should check it out. But I would say maybe play my copy before you buy it.
Yeah, I think I probably will, because even though it's on sale for like $10.39 or whatever, I still, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like, I'm not trying to spend anything on a game right now unless it's like something that is just an absolute must-have day one kind of situation. Or, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I just don't think you and I are really in a position to be buying anything without really testing the waters.
I thought about it too when I was having this conversation with Joe and Pucks in the chat about how, I haven't, or, why aren't you supporting the devs at paying for full price for a game? And I think it's important to recognize that I have not bought a full price game in years. Even a game like Control, which I got relatively shortly after launch, I did not pay full price for. I used a sale plus some reward zone points to bring my costs down to about $25 to $30 on a $60 game. That's just the type of spender I am. I would rather have access to more games and buy them at a lower price than drop $60 on a game on day one, because I just don't necessarily have the time to play all this stuff,
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that as well. I think what happens with me is I'm more of the full price gamer. However, if there's a sale, I'm going to buy it on sale, or if I hear about a sale, I will. But I think what it is I don't seek it out. I don't seek out a sale. I don't wait unless it's something that's right around the corner. I would say if I really had to be strict, I'm more of a full price gamer. I've definitely paid full price a lot.
Even like Doom Eternal, like I've already pre-ordered that game. I'm going to get it day one, but I pre-ordered it at Best Buy. And by that pre-order, I'm getting a $10 gift card back on that pre-order. It's part of the reward zone thing or whatever. So I'm not paying full price for it. I'm paying $50 for it, not $60. Mm-hmm. And like that's a franchise that I just adore. Like I'll probably buy everything they do on day one because I've been a Doom fan since I was 10 years old. But like just I'm really picky about what I spend full price money on. It's just it doesn't happen these days.
Yeah, I think where it is that I stand with you is I'm becoming more like that now, and I never used to be. I've always been kind of a full price person. Yeah. With almost everything, which is not great because I've definitely wasted a ton of money and I probably could have saved a lot. Yeah. But I'm like Pucks, in that sense that, if I have the money and I can buy something new, I'm going to do it. And I do believe in buying new games that are shrink wrapped and everything whenever possible, because as we all know, it definitely does help out the devs in the studio.
For sure. Real quick, just an acknowledgement. I did get my Genesis Mini. I've played it for about 10 minutes. I finally got to hook it up today before we started recording. I did not spend a lot of time with it. I'm going to save a better review for that later, but so far it's pretty cool. It's really nice having a Genesis controller in my hands, especially considering I never owned the system. So I'm looking forward to talking about that a little bit more, which, again, I did not pay full price for. And then also on the eShop sale, I picked up Katana Zero, which I'm looking forward to diving into at some point, too. So, but I've wasted enough time talking about my shit. You watched the Game Awards.
I did.
Let's talk about that, because I babbled on way too long, and I apologize.
Yeah, I did.
I see Will Gear is typing here in Discord, like you're getting ready to yell at me. You motherfucker.
It's exactly what I was going to do. It was like, literally, like, are we going to have time for the Game Awards?
Yes, we're gonna talk about the Game Awards right now. Go.
All right.
So, yeah, like, how long were they? Was it like 2 hours, or?
It felt like an eternity. It started at... It really did. It was getting to the point where I was live tweeting, and I almost live tweeted that I was going to go to bed because I was fucking exhausted, because this show was just never going to end. I'm pretty sure it wrapped up at 12, so like midnight Eastern Standard Time. I'm pretty sure it did.
Yeah.
But it started at 8:30. So yeah, it went from 8:30 to 12. I'm pretty sure, because
Wow.
I think I canceled out at like 11 something. So I was like, all right, I just can't. Like, I've watched everything that I think I've wanted to watch here, and I know I'm going to miss Game of the Year, like, for the announcement and the award. But I can just catch that like by the time I'm in bed and just on my phone. So I watched that, and Sekiro won. So I was really, really happy to see that, because I wasn't sure if they were going to. But yeah, long story short, good show. I've seen the Game Awards, multiple years, not always in full, just usually kind of tidbits here and there. Mm-hmm. And it's a little bit of an awkward show, like the way that it's structured, and the cadence to it is not always super seamless, but I think that's just kind of the nature of how it's done. Because it's not really like, it's not the Oscars. It's not like a major award show where it has a little bit more of a history and a rhythm to it. But it's fun. Jeff Kiley's cool. I called him the Ryan Seacrest of gaming last night, because he's very much that. I mean, if you get to know him a lot, more, then you can kind of see what I mean by that. But yeah, it was fun. There were some pretty big announcements. There were some world premieres. There was at least, like, I don't know, it felt like 10 world premieres. Some of them were just very, they kind of fizzled out quickly, and then other ones were like the Xbox, Series X, which is coming out next year. So
yeah,
big stuff, little stuff, small things, gameplay, a lot of like nice surprises, like, Hellblade 2 was announced, and that was something that was announced in such a cool way, where Senua, who is the main character in the first game, was basically just displayed on the screen, and she looked better than ever. And I was like, oh my God, this is Hellblade. And if you've played the game, then you would have understood that this was like an announcement for the second game. And you kind of have to play the first one, because the way that they introduced it, they do it kind of based on, I don't know, someone who's played the game. And I'm saying that because the way that they showed her, she was doing like this weird chanting thing, which you would only know about if you played the game. Like,
I watched the trailer because I saw that a lot of people were buzzing about it, and I've never played the original, so I have no point of reference.
Right.
And it was very interesting to, well, first of all, look fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
And my understanding is, like, that was all rendered, right? That wasn't like, it looked like an actress.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's all mocap, state of the art, and they did that for the first game. And I believe it was developed by, I can't remember the studio now, but I think they're based in like Cambridge, UK, England. And just brilliant team. So I'm really looking forward to that game. I was pumped for that. And it was a really nice surprise, because I don't think they spoke about it before the show whatsoever. And then just kind of looking back at my tweets here, moving into the Xbox Series X, that kind of came out of nowhere. I remember they showed, I think it was Hellblade 2 was kind of like the announcement for that, because I remember seeing that, and then they spun off into kind of like this mini advertisement for the console itself. And immediately it just said like, Xbox Series X coming, holiday 2020 or whenever the release is. And, it was just kind of like I was stunned. And I think everybody was, because it was not announced as a console. It was just like, here's some clips from a couple games that we're going to release on it. And then boom, here's the console. Quick look, cut to the next thing. And then it was over. So it happened very quickly. But it looks interesting.
What are your thoughts?
I'm with a lot of the memes right now and a lot of jokes that are going on Twitter. I mean, this thing has been compared to refrigerators, the monolith from, Space Odyssey 2001, which I think is hilarious. I called it a vertical shoebox last night on Twitter because I just tried to think of something that it resembled. But yeah, we spoke about it briefly before the show, and it looks like you can turn it horizontal. So, that's
yeah,
good.
I mean, that's kind of my understanding is like the system is designed to be either vertical or horizontal, but fucking Microsoft and their obsession with putting these consoles at a vertical stance, like they've been doing it since the Xbox 360, and like enough is enough. Like they need to be stopped. Nobody has an entertainment center that's shaped like that. Nobody.
No.
And you're selling a console, not a fucking PC. So stop trying to either be a PC or be a console. You can't be both. Like, come on.
I know. It kind of reminds me of the Mac Pro that came out.
Oh God, yeah.
Because that
Cube
thing looks like, it's like a weird cylindrical fucking thing. It's like a weird like tower thing. And it looks awesome. I don't think they even make that one anymore. It was only for like a year.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 years.
Look, like the design of the system is fine. Like I don't care if it's a box or cylinder. I don't care if it's a boomerang. Like, but it needs to sit horizontal in my entertainment center. I am not buying new furniture for this thing. And if I got to put it on the floor, I fucking will. Like I don't even care.
Yeah.
Like it's gotta like they have to. Do they like play test these things in people's homes with like families and kids and like, the DVD player that nobody uses?
I don't get it. I really think that Joe had said it best when I was live tweeting. He's like, it's a PC.
Yeah.
And that's all he said. And I was like, you know what? I mean, it's true. Like, I think they really had to go with something that was a little bit more tower-esque, because there's a reason why gaming PCs are still in fucking towers, because they have to be. Like,
right,
the components
but
and
those components are designed for people to open them up and go inside and change them, especially when you start getting into like the enthusiast market. Like the cases for PCs now are like ridiculous. Like you can fucking cable tie everything down so that there's maximized airflow and shit. And
dude, you could probably live inside one of those fucking things at this point.
My computer tower is a pretty good size. Like I have like big fucking hands, so I bought the biggest size tower I could, and like I'm pretty sure that I could like curl up my cat inside of it.
Yeah, I mean they're huge. One guy, an account that we follow, actually drink a beer and play a game. Said,
yeah,
my dehumidifier can play games now. And immediately I retweeted that. I'm pretty sure it was one of the first ones I saw, because like I was obviously on Twitter all night and I kept hitting refresh in between my tweets looking for stuff. And that was like, I'm pretty sure it popped up like seconds after it was announced. I was like, I know there's going to be jokes.
Yeah.
There's going to be jokes.
So, and then let's talk about this name too. Series X.
I mean, come on. Whoever's in charge of this, like, either needs to be fired or they just need to like sit down with them and be like, hey man, so, all right, so where do we even start?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on with like your creativity? I mean, you came up with Project Scarlet. Why didn't you just stick with that? Because at least it has a fresh name. It sounds cool. It's innovative. And we went with something that is still this whole play on the whole X song and dance.
They need to get over themselves with this fucking like X shit. Like,
I don't get it.
Xbox is Xy enough for me. And you don't need any more X's. And then they fucking did this shit with all right, so they called the second Xbox a 360. Then they called the third Xbox the Xbox One. Then they released a revision called the One X, the One S, the One S all digital, which is sad. Now you have, I know the jokes are like the Xbox Sex Series X. Like,
oh, Jesus.
Like, come on. Like,
yeah, somebody was saying
I'm literally facepalming. Like, I'm so frustrated with their shit.
Yeah, like I said before the show, I had a delayed reaction to it. I remember they announced it, and I was like, oh, cool, like, that just happened. And then, a couple, like, maybe about 30 to 45 seconds later, I was like, wait, they're still terrible at naming these things.
They haven't gotten any better. And it's like, fucking Elon Musk does about as good of a job naming his Teslas. You know, like, is he working for Xbox now? Is this is this the Xbox truck?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, the names for these things like Model S and all that stuff. I mean, I get, a lot of things that come out now are very minimalistic and simplistic and streamlined. I get that, and I appreciate that. But, when it comes to something as special as the CyberTruck or even this console that looks so cool, like, you couldn't come up with something that was more futuristic than Series X?
Just call it 5.
Or just call it something like the Xbox Falcon. Just something that's like fucking badass. I mean, this kind of reminds me of like one of the Falcon Northwest custom PCs, which I'll never, ever have the money to buy.
The fucking... the Xbox Marmoset.
Marmoset? Oh my fucking God.
The Xbox Shark. Yeah. Oh my God. The Xbox, I don't fucking know. Oh God. It's just...
Anything. Just anything. Just call it anything else besides the Series X. Because like I said, what's after that? The Series X1, the Series XS, the Series X Slim. Somebody had tweeted that this is like a horror story for retailers.
It is.
Because
imagine you work at GameStop.
Yep.
Right now, and somebody comes in and says, I want the Xbox X.
They're going to be like, wait, do you want the One X or, the Series X? Okay, but which model do you want? Or
maybe you said S and you just have a lisp.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you get sold the wrong thing. Like maybe it's a mom, right? A mom or dad, like, yeah, let me get the Xbox SX. The S. Yeah, I think he said S. And then he walks out with the fucking S. Right. And then Christmas is ruined.
Right.
Because he didn't get the Series X.
Right, exactly. Like,
so, goddamn.
Because, I mean, not everybody is as plugged in as we are. Like, there's a lot of parents that are our age that have no fucking clue.
No clue. One final thought in terms of the size and the shape and the overall design of this. Maybe they really are putting like a PC-sized card in here because this is the right kind of shape and size for a full, pretty diesel-like PC card. So maybe they have that thing vertically in there.
It wouldn't surprise me if they don't have like a legit like fucking NVIDIA. Like, I don't even know what the newest card is, but double it.
Yeah.
Because I looked at I watched the Setsuna, or sorry, the Hellblade trailer, and I watched the Xbox reveal in 4K on my TV and on my computer monitors. I have 4K computer monitors as well.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if this thing actually can churn out that 4K content at that level and it's not all pre-rendered bullshit, which I'm sure it is, but my God, like, holy crap, will that be awesome? And, like, I'll tell you right now, I'm thinking about starting to put money away for this thing so I can get it day one. Because I do want it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm trashing this thing, but I want it. I fucking want it.
Fuck this fucking monstrosity.
Yeah.
I'm fucking pre-ordering that shit,
like I had a day one Xbox One, right? And I have no regrets. I loved that thing. I played the shit out of that thing. And I'm definitely going to buy this.
Yeah, it's like one of those things that you just have a desire to turn on. You know what I mean? Like, just looking at this thing, like, it brings me joy to just, like, have your fucking mitts around it, place it on top of your, home theater system because you can't put it inside of it. And then, you plug it into your nice, fresh surge protector that some salesman offered you at Best Buy.
Yeah.
And just, because it's got the nice Joule rating. And then, you turn that fucking thing on and you're just like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Speaking of things that bring me joy, that Muppets thing.
Oh, God. That was hysterical.
With the goose. Oh, man. I loved every single moment of that.
Dude, when I pulled up the Twitter for the show, I looked at that and I was like, I didn't retweet that. And then I was like, Drew probably did.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I was like, I definitely did not retweet that. I remember it, but I don't remember retweeting it.
That was totally me. I fucking did that as soon as I saw that, because I watched that. Vortex had linked it in the chat, and as you know, I didn't see this show live, so I watched that, and I was like, I'm in tears. Like the Muppets, I love the Muppets, hands down, full stop. They're great. And they're not just for kids. They're very much for adults, too. They started out as an adult TV show. Like the Muppet Show, if you watch the first few episodes, it's naughty. So like they can do some pretty adult stuff, but I've always loved their brand of humor. I love the way that, anybody that's in that universe that's actually a human, just the Muppets are Muppets, and that's it. It's not like, breaking the fourth wall, who's behind the mask kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's just all in, and that's why it works. And then seeing this fucking goose on the stage with them, oh man, it just made me so happy.
Strangled.
I'm watching the teaser from the Twitter feed on loop right now, and I'm just seeing Beaker try and mute the goose.
Dude, it's been on loop on my screen the entire show. I've been glancing over at it every once in a while just to keep a consistent smile.
It's not gonna you're gonna laugh and smile the entire time. It doesn't get old. It does not get old. Oh man, they I don't know how those puppeteers bring so much life to lifeless creatures like they do.
They're amazing at what they do.
It's such a talent, and it blows me away.
Yeah.
It blows me away. There's so much personality in these things.
I know, it's amazing. And what's even better is Jeff's response to this. Still can't believe this actually happened.
Dude, I have to imagine that is something that it was never on his bucket list, but now it's already checked off, you don't think about that kind of thing. I would love to be in an award show with the Muppets. Whoever thinks that could happen, but when it does, it's pure fucking magic.
I wonder if Jeff was not expecting this moment, because I remember last year, Joseph Ferris, who created that game, Brothers, and also, I forget the new game that came out. Shoot, I don't remember the name of it now. A Way Out.
Okay.
So he came on the game show, and he was being interviewed by Jeff, and I remember he just went off, and he was like, fuck every award show. He gave the finger. He just kind of had a breakout sort of Kanye West moment where he was like, George Bush doesn't like black people. It was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I remember Jeff was just like, holy fuck, what is happening right now? I need to take back control of my show. But I was kind of hoping that there was going to be a moment like that. And I think that maybe this was the closest thing to it, because I don't remember anything else that was too outlandish.
Let's talk about Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes.
I don't want to forget about that.
What an extravagant looking game. It just looks stunning. I mean, I've never seen leaves move in a game the way that they move in that game.
So I don't know a lot about this game, but it seems like a very similar environment as Sekiro. So what is different? Is this isn't a Soulsborne game, correct?
It is not. No, it's developed by... What was that noise?
I don't know.
I just got a new memory pop up on my iMac. That was really weird.
Huh, okay.
A photo memory. And it had a sound effect that I'm not familiar with. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So, no, it's not from Software. It's developed by Sucker Punch, who did infamous Second Son, I believe.
Okay, yep.
So, yeah, I don't know much about it. I don't think anybody really does. I don't think they've really explained anything to do with what this game is about. I think they just have given us, I believe this is now the second trailer for the game, with some gameplay that was revealed at the Game Awards. And I mean, it appears that it's a similar premise. You're playing as some sort of samurai who's, casted out or something, and, you're fighting baddies, and you're yeah, you're just like a badass. Like, I really don't think they've revealed anything else. There's been a couple, dialogue pieces in some of the gameplay trailers, but that's really about it.
Okay.
I think what they're doing right now is they're just letting the visuals speak for themselves, and I think they're really just trying to show off what this game looks like as a last game to come out on this generation, because they showed it on a PS4 Pro. So my guess is there probably will be a PS5 version. This is very typical. I feel like this is going to be exactly what they did with, I want to say, Assassin's Creed Black Flag. They came out. It came out
on everything.
They put it on everything, and they kind of led up to like the PS4 launch with it, and just kind of said, "Well, here's these versions, but get this one." So
yeah,
I don't know if that's going to happen with Ghost, but I'm pretty sure that it will, because I mean, it looks like it's playing on a PS5.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a lot of backwards compatibility in this generation from the get-go. I think Microsoft proved that there's a serious desire for that, and I know Xbox Series X is going to be like as backwards compatible as possible. Like, I'm pretty sure every Xbox One game is backwards compatible. I don't know to what extent they're going with the 360 and the original Xbox, but there's rumors that they're trying to go for full compatibility with those systems, which would be fucking awesome. PlayStation's got to step it up, and they have announced that there is going to be some level of backwards compatibility. I would not be surprised to see the PlayStation 4 library entirely compatible. I think it would be smart of them to do that. The PlayStation 4 has a really good library. And I think that if they have an opportunity to move systems and have people give people the opportunity to clear out their PS4, keep the library, and continue to invest in that library while replacing the system with a PS5, I think they should do that. So hopefully this is going to be one of those games that if it's not like just backwards compatible on the PS5, it gets its own release. I think that would be really good. It looks interesting. Like I like that universe. That kind of, that feudal Japan kind of thing. The only reason I haven't really dove into Sekiro up to this point is just because I'm scared of the gameplay.
Oh, it's super scary.
Yeah, so like this might be more up my alley, because this looks like it's more my type of game if we're going to do a hack and slash. I'm not a big hack and slash player to begin with, so
I think I'm still being careful with it though, because it's obviously a stunning looking game, and whenever I see something that looks too good to be true, of course I'm going to start questioning things. I'm going to start saying, "Oh fuck, man, please let this be good." Like, there's going to be something off about it. Like, there's no way this is going to be a 10 out of 10. And you start getting like negative because you want it to be that good, but you just know that there's just no way that it's going to be perfect, because no game really is.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm like, all right, like, they've proven that this game looks stunning, but let's see some more gameplay. I want to learn a little bit more about the story. I want to learn about, like, is this game going to be long? Is it going to be short? Because sometimes games like that give me the impression that it's going to be short. I don't know why, but it just does. Like, I want this to be something that's long and really challenging and very story-driven, and I think it will be. My hopes are high, but yeah, I'm just trying to be cautious, and I wish I had more to say, but I don't. I think what this boils down to is, whoever's listening to this episode, just make sure you watch the latest gameplay. That's all you can really do, and I think that's enough to kind of get you hyped.
Yeah. Just a couple quick hits before we call it a night, because we're running over at this point. Bravely Default 2 is coming out. The sequel to Bravely Second and the original Bravely Default. Have you had an opportunity to play any of those games?
No. I did have the opportunity, of course, to play Octopath Traveler. Not much of it, but I thought it was a sequel, because when they debuted the game, they said coming from the studio that designed Octopath, and I was like, oh my god, this is like the second version, or like the sequel or whatever. And all of the visuals that they were showing looked identical to Octopath, and I was like, this has to be it. And then when they came out with the title, I was like, okay, like, I'm not too familiar because I haven't played them, but I'm interested. And the characters look a little bit odd. They kind of have like a bobblehead sort of look. They look like shrunken down just characters with big heads, so I'm not sure how I feel about that, but It's just that's probably just something to look over and just kind of glance over. So we'll see. But it looks really good. Looks very promising.
My understanding is the people that did Octopath did Bravely Default.
I guess so.
I'm not 100% positive on that, but that's my understanding. I have Bravely Default. I played it a little bit. It's a 3DS game, or excuse me, yeah, it's a 3DS game. And I enjoyed what I played with it, but I just didn't spend a ton of time with the 3DS as a system as a whole. So it's a kind of game that I really hope gets a Switch release because I would love to play it on my TV. It was beautiful. It had a very interesting game system. I'd like to swing back to it at some point and play it, and then ultimately, maybe play Bravely Second. I don't know if that's going to be a requirement for Bravely Default 2.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not, no. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot more to share, and I think we may have to move some of it to the next episode.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I really want to take the time to talk about some more stuff because there were a couple other things I wanted to touch on that I know will take some time. Okay. And they also talked about Doom Eternal a little bit too. So, I once I saw that, I was like, man, like I can't wait to talk to Drew about this. And I don't want to rush it. So,
all right. So let's wrap it up for this week then.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up.
And let's get all of those things you want to talk about on paper so that we can confirm them next week.
Great.
So folks, stick around next week. You'll hear about part 2 of the WDGR Game Awards. Wait. That makes it sound like it's our awards. The WDGR review of the Game Awards. Yes.
That.
And don't forget to send in your favorite memes of the Xbox Series X. I want to see them all. Hit us up on Twitter and Facebook at WDGRPodcast. Find us on... where am I? Oh, yeah. We're on the
Spotify.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the show is available on Spotify, TuneIn, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, or whatever the fuck they're calling it these days.
Yep.
WDGRpodcast.com is where you're going to find everything, including our regular blog posts, mostly from Will right now with Will's Cool Games. I am seriously lacking on that. We also have a game night coming up. All the information on that Titanfall 2 is going to be coming up for the PlayStation, so check that out. Everything is on our website. Details will also be at the front of the show in the commercial. If you haven't heard it, swing on back and listen to that. Will, how can they find you?
Will_gear.
Find me at ScionStorm. Thank you to everybody who's been tuning in. Thank you. We hope you guys enjoy the show. And I guess that's it. We'll see you next week.
See ya.